Good morning.
Good morning. It's like a morning show, like a radio show.
This is a radio show. It's an internet radio show.
Internet radio, yes.
Welcome to our internet radio show. I'm your host, number one, Mr. Ben. I'm here with Derrick Reimer.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I saw somebody tweeting this morning, and he was saying, not that I look at Twitter very often, but
yeah, that's your problem number one. You were on Twitter.
Just this is one time I went on twitter.com.
Oh, sure.
And there was this guy, and he was tweeting, and he said, founders keep asking me when it will stop feeling like they don't want to work on their company anymore. And I had to tell them the truth, which is never.
Ooh.
And I was like, that does not resonate with me. And I don't know if I think we're been kind of lucky and we're having some success and all that. So I know my experience is completely coloring my response to everything. I can't help but be biased by that. But I don't ever want to stop so far. I haven't been we need to stop. There have been times where it felt kind of crappy or I was stressed about things. But overall, doing this thing has been very satisfying and very fun. And so I just I couldn't identify with being oh man, I just always want to stop. I just always want to not do this anymore.
I mean, I come from the other side where I'm in the slog of trying to figure out what levers can I pull on to advance this ball forward a little bit. And this notion ties in very much with my update this week, but where my head was at going into the TinySeed Retreat. I wouldn't say that I ever have a strong feeling of I don't want to be doing what I'm doing, but I think there's a certain weariness that can come for sure with being in the pre-escape velocity phase where you're still searching for that, and it feels like a lot of hard work, and it feels like it should be easier, and that's where you gotta have a lot of fortitude to push through that.
I'm realizing now, thinking back to when I was trying to make various ThoughtBot products grow and not having success for a long period of time on that, and I was like, yeah, I do want to stop this. This is not satisfying. So I think I'm just being naive, perhaps. So it's so hard to not let my latest recent experience color everything and just be isn't this the normal way everyone feels, or don't I always feel this way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But brains, they're faulty.
I'm genuinely happy for you. You know that
You son of a bitch.
I don't mean that in a negative way. More power to you for getting to experience kind of being in the 1% of startups that do get quick velocity. So,
well, thank you. Appreciate that. So talk about our weeks.
Yeah, I think we should. It's been Adam Wathen kept my seat warm while I was away.
Yeah, well, it had been a while since a Canadian had been on the podcast. So by law, due to our trade agreement with Canada, we have to
exactly. Yes.
But our quota has been filled now. So some stuff has been happening in my world. So I've been reading this book, The Great CEO Within. Love it. Big fan of it. I've sort of taken two things from it directly in the last couple of weeks that have been going well. So the first is, there has this advice in there, which is, as soon as you find yourself saying something for the second time, write it down. I don't find myself saying things that many times, but I definitely find myself writing them from scratch over and over. As soon as that I saw that and kind of internalized it, I started realizing I was doing it all the time, particularly around sales things. Because there's just a lot of questions that all the companies have, or there's setup that needs to be done. And the other day, someone was like, what's your phone number and your tax ID? And I was like, oh, let me just go grab those and wait a minute. Why isn't there a page I can send someone that has any piece of information they might want about the company? And then why isn't there a higher level page I can send someone when we start talking about doing a deal that has links to all the things that they might want at various phases, like our security docs, our privacy policy, things like that. I'm trying to start thinking of this as almost like a failure, like a cache miss, when someone asks me a question that I don't have in a doc somewhere that I can send them. And it has been slowing me down in the near term, of course, because I'm where should this even live? Should I put it on the pricing page? Should I make a Notion doc? Should I put it on the marketing site? And it's taking me longer to respond to any individual person, but I have this growing sense of ooh, this is really cool. I'm getting this corpus of things that I can then use later on that'll make me more efficient. And it's been feeling really good.
That's really cool. And are you thinking about how does this scale beyond just you? Because eventually a lot of these questions will not be directed at you, but will be directed at someone on your team, right? And so I guess that's like the key like knowledge management challenge with a team. It's like where this bit of information lives somewhere, but where does it live and what's our policy on where we put stuff, right?
Totally. Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. But like once this is a fleshed out thing, it's much easier for someone else to take it over. Or they can even start by reading it. It's like, hey, you're going to be doing sales. Here are all the answers to common questions and our policies on things. And that's awesome. That's a good point. It's funny. Hiring feels like far off in my head, so I don't even think about the other people aspect. But someday, future me might be glad for that.
That's definitely something I kind of learned going through Drip because I was the only engineer for so long. And it became really evident when we started bringing on new engineers just how much like tribal knowledge lived in my brain. And I could have done a better job documenting stuff. And then we eventually did that. Like we went through and kind of wrote like some basic, kind of like concentric circles of documentation, like very high level stuff. Like here's kind of how the code base is organized. We have this area that does this and this area that does this, so that a new engineer will at least know where to go start looking and then drill down one layer deeper. And okay, here's a deeper dive on like architectural decisions behind this subsystem. And then further down is like code comments and stuff. But we kind of had to retroactively do that when we were finding like the pain of like an engineer would be on the team for a month and then after a while, like, in a one-on-one or something, it would come out that like, yeah, I just feel totally lost in this area. Like everyone knows where everything is and I have no clue where to even get started. And it's like, whoa, yeah. You lose perspective after when you have all that knowledge in your head, you don't know what other people don't know,
Right. So. Yeah. I also wonder, something I'm starting to find is that some of the things I don't have answers to, like I've been doing like kind of bespoke answers to things. And maybe sometimes that's a strength, like for like, the ability to negotiate something. But I think for some of them, it's like, we should just decide what the answer to this is and then write it down somewhere. And then like I have like less decision fatigue. Or like if I write my default answer, does it sound good? Like, do I like what my answer is to this? Like I found sometimes writing down like technical docs of like how a thing should work or like does work. It's like, I feel like I'm explaining a thing and then like apologizing for how weird it is. Maybe I should just go fix the thing.
Fix the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I like that.
It's like a nice positive pressure on the actual underlying thing you're documenting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm really fired up about this. And so for 2 more weeks, I'm going to be really fired up about it. I'm going to go back to my norm.
We're kind of related. What has your support burden looked like? Do you guys get a lot of emails from people with questions?
Let me pull up our doc. So we actually track this in our KPI dashboard that we update at our retros. Wow, we sound like a very big company right now. Last week, there were 92 support conversations. That's fairly high. Like the week before was 60, the week before was 40, the week before was 110. So it varies. Now, some of those are, if you have a bad call on Tuple, like if you get rate a 1 or 2, we pop up a little box, which is like, hey, help us help you. If you can tell us more about what went wrong, or if you have any reproduction steps, like we can reach out. So some of those are kind of like quick, like, oh yeah, like you just had a bad Wi-Fi connection. We can't really do anything about that. But a good number of them are actually support requests. Why do you ask?
Oh, I'm just wondering, like, because it seems like a lot of that not repeating yourself type of stuff, kind of happens in support. But it's a tricky balance to strike, because I've had recently some support interactions with some high profile companies, I'll say, that have a really good reputation, and I would not expect canned responses and stuff, but like getting some confusing pre-built responses that feel like missing the mark a little bit. And it just makes me think like that one is a really hard problem to tackle well, I think.
I've had the same experience, and I bet we're talking about the same company. Or I bet I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yes, so I have this like conflicting feeling where like, to me, it's like kind of sad when the founders stop doing support. And like, I get why it's also great and you should do it. And like, there's like wins there, but also it's like once someone that really knows what's going on and can fix problems that you find stops doing support, it gets worse. It's like really hard to not make it worse, I think. Like maybe if you're really good at it, it's not much worse. Or maybe that person, if you hire someone that's amazing at support, they're even better at the support part. But I feel like it's hard to match the like, I built this thing, I know how to fix it for you, or I can at least tell you what's wrong. So I don't know, it makes me a little bit sad to see that.
Yeah, and it's such an asset to not be so big where you can still be pretty in the loop on what kind of support questions are coming through, and B, even if you have like a front line of defense to handle the 80% of stuff, that 20% where like, okay, this is a little bit beyond what I can answer from my knowledge, and maybe, let's loop in a technical person or one of the founders. You just keep your finger on the pulse of what is really what the customer is experiencing. So.
Totally. Yeah. Even though Joel is handling almost all the support, I still get notified for every request that comes in. Like I read all the messages at least, which feels important to me. So I mentioned that there were two things that I was taking from that book. The second is that he has a template for giving feedback to other people. And so we did like a kind of like 360 feedback session so before the session, Spencer, Joel, and I each wrote up feedback for the other two people. And for each person said, I like that blank. I wish that blank. That was like the basic template. And so like 1 to 5 bullets for each of those things. And so we all wrote ours up separately. And then at the start of the thing, we threw them all in like a shared doc. And we all read everything and like took a minute to kind of process it. And then we took turns. And so I went first. And first I sort of read everything. And then for all the wish that feedbacks, you first read the feedback and then you restate it in your own words and say, do I have that right? So it's like first, like make sure you really understand what this person is saying to you. And that feels like skippable, but a couple times like we made ourselves do it and like it was like, actually, no, that's not quite right. And it was like really fascinating to see. Like it was just like I actually watched this happen with Joel. Like Joel read the thing and then was like, starts to sort of answer it. And I was like, actually, can you just like do the thing and like restate the thing? And he did. And Spencer was like, no, that's not really what I meant. I was like, whoa, like what an interesting moment there.
Yeah. That's a very interesting way to kind of enter in what could be a very tricky conversation that a lot of teams I feel like kind of avoid, like avoiding the negatives or things you want to see changed or whatever. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so I'll just finish the process. So then after that, after you've restated it, you declare whether or not you accept the feedback.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you have the sort of option of like, do it. Yeah. Like, am I willing to sort of take this on and do the thing that you wish I would do? And then after that, if you do accept it, you, with the person that gave you feedback, co-create some sort of action that you're going to take with a due date, ideally. Like, okay, like you said you wish I would do this. All right, how about I do this and I'll have it done by this date? And we basically created these like to-do lists sort of together at the end of the session.
Do you have like an example
Sure.
that you could give? Because I feel like I don't fully know if like, are you talking about like, I wish we would ship this feature faster, or are you talking about like, I wish like you approached this type of problem differently? Like, is it personal feedback about the way someone works, or is it about like a specific task they're doing or something? Like,
there weren't really guidelines about like what the boundaries of the feedback was. Let me see if I can find something that was feedback from me that I can share. Okay. So one piece of feedback I got was that one of the people involved wished I would use the product more with our customers so that I could have a better sense of like what needs to change there. So it's like, I wish that you would use it more with our customers so we can spot more opportunities for improvement, and also do some like customer education, because sometimes we find people don't know about features we have. So I was like, okay, that's great feedback. And first of all, like I restated it, like, do I have it right? He said yes. And so I said, okay, cool. Totally accept that feedback. I think that's like totally legit. So how about the to-do we co-created was, all right, we're going to do another one of these feedback sessions in a month. So I said, I'll do 4 calls with customers by the next feedback session. Like, would that address the feedback? Yes, it would. Okay, cool. So there we go. That was basically that for most of the things. Some of them were harder to come up with a specific task for after, because like sometimes it's like, I have this, like, I don't like this feeling that like you think this, or like sometimes it's just like, there's not like a clear, like, get this done by this date thing.
I could see someone saying like, I wish you would review my pull requests faster or something like that.
Right, exactly.
And then it'd be like, well, how do we put like a SLA on time, or like, how do we do that?
So sometimes, so some of the things we put like, Ben will check in with Spencer on March 4th and confirm that he feels that I have changed this sort of impression or something. So it's not perfect. And I think also as we get better at this, we'll learn like better way, like feedback that we can give that is more loop closable, I guess. Or maybe just accept that you can't always get a perfect, to do with the feedback. I was a little scared going into the session. I had that just a little bit of background anxiety around it. And because I'm me, the thing I was worried about was other people taking offense to my feedback and not the feedback that I was going to get. I'm always worried I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. And so I was stressed about that, but everyone took it great. And I think overall the whole session was very positive. There was this, at least for me, after we finished it, this sense of lightness where it was
the air has been cleared.
The air has been cleared.
Yeah.
All of the laundry has been brought out, and we've dealt with it and we've acknowledged it and made a plan for it. And so it's if anyone has any lingering resentment, it's kind of their fault now. It's okay, I feel we all know everything now. And I felt great. It was a really excellent experience. I recommend it. So we're going to do another one. And I don't know, I'd like to keep doing this because I think it was super useful.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think this practice scales? Do they talk about this in the book at all? If you have a large organization, is this with a manager who has one-on-ones with their people? Is this a practice you would do in that setting?
Yeah. And in fact, his recommended cadence is that this happens every week in the one-on-one, maybe every other week. At each one-on-one, the manager gives feedback to their report and vice versa in that format. So that's supposed to be flowing in all directions all the time. And then also, I think it's also for higher level managers and the CEO in particular, it's people should always be giving feedback up to that person. So it's solicit it from the entire company every so often kind of thing, flowing all the way up the chain. So it's just, he's a big believer in the value of capturing this stuff and getting it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I could see why. Seems good.
Yeah, I think it's always good to be deliberate about this kind of stuff. I mean, it's easy for the positive stuff to just kind of naturally come out, but it's the critical stuff or those little nagging things that have a tendency to fester if you're not really deliberate about trying to create a framework for them to come out, right?
Totally, exactly. But also, it doesn't get as much focus, but part of the feedback is positive, right? It's sort of half of it. And so that was great too. It's just it's nice to be appreciated for specific things and know what you're doing that people like and want to do more of it. That helps, I think, make that process feel good, where it's not just here's some things you're doing wrong or that people wish you would change. It's also here's where you're doing a great job. Keep it up. That doesn't always come out so explicitly. So one last thing before I turn it over. Actually, yesterday we pushed the first version of Tuple where if you were on a canceled team, you can't use it anymore.
Okay. So that was just kind of a little loophole that was...
We just never really built that feature to lock people out. So if you canceled, it would stop billing you, of course.
Yeah.
But you could just keep using the app like nothing had changed.
Do you have metrics on how many people are actually doing that?
We would look at it every so often, and people mostly stopped using it when they canceled. In fact, most of the time they probably canceled because they weren't using it. So it didn't really, there wasn't a crazy abuse or anything, but there definitely were some teams where they would have 6 or 7 people and then the team would cancel and then one person would just keep using it like crazy. But it was whatever, don't worry about it too much. And so I did a little tweet thread about this because I think it's you would assume you need to build this feature before launch, right? You got to lock people out. I was well, I mean, you kind of don't actually. It's fine. And in fact, maybe it was even better for us because people were using the app and exposing it to more people. And isn't that good even if we're not making money off them directly? Probably. So I feel another lesson in the even if you think your MVP is very there's probably more you can leave out that you're not even thinking about.
Yeah. I was proud of myself for leaving out pretty much all billing enforcement policies. And they're still not in the product. So I have a Heroku data clip that I go and look at that gives me daily usage stats for all people who are not paying customers. What's their usage level? And it's just a simple query with numbers next to customer names. And I look at it daily. And if someone's getting close to their limit, then I email them. And if they've gone over, then I email them, And
yeah, totally. And it completely works, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's the amount of effort that it would take to all right, set up what's the trigger for when I want to trigger correspondence with the person and what's the exact copy that I should say. I mean, this gives me a chance to still kind of massage the wording a little bit and try out different things and see what works well. And I think automating too soon is never good.
Totally.
So
yeah, I really like that idea of automating once it's annoying. I just have had this experience so many times of like assuming, well, we have to make this. And it's like, well, let's just do it manually for a little bit. And then we never come back to it or come back to it way later. And it's just fine. I did feel a little bit like airing our dirty laundry on Twitter, where it's like, I felt like a little bit of embarrassment. I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. But, I think the point was worth making to folks. So what's going on in your world?
Yeah, so let's see. A couple of weeks ago now, I went on a TinySeed Retreat. So part of the program, they had 4 separate retreats, and I half made it to one of them and then couldn't make it to MicroConf Europe. So this was my first like full immersive like retreat with the cohort, and it was a really good experience, I must say. Like just another reminder that like being with people face to face is so different than being with them in a Slack room. Yeah, it was really nice. Just a good chance to get to know the people better who are my batchmates, and we had kind of deep dive sessions. Each of us got like an hour to hour and a half of time just to like update everyone on like, here's what I'm struggling with right now, or here's what's going well, and and get kind of feedback and advice from people.
How many people were there?
It was only about half the batch. I think there were 5 companies there. Well, I wish everyone was there, but it was also kind of nice that it was a little bit smaller group, so even more intimate in that sense. And so yeah, we all had a lot of time, kind of mid part of the day for the 2 core days of the retreat. We were spent on just kind of hot seat sessions. I went first so that I can get all my stuff out, and then like just random conversations throughout the day. Or we went on a little sunset cruise, and we spent time in downtown Key West just eating food and going to bars and stuff. And like everyone's thinking about each other's problems in a background thread and kind of casually revisiting them as inspiration strikes. So it was a really fun time. It was a really restorative time. I will say I came into the retreat feeling just kind of weary and impatient. I think those are the 2 words to classify how I was feeling. And a little bit like just suffering like lack of confidence, especially my level experience, like makes me I just feel much more cautious and suffering a little bit of a confidence hit this time around. It's really a lot of mental game. Like I kind of know like at this stage of startup the things I should be doing are pretty clear, pretty well understood. But like,
yeah, I mean, in theory,
like it's the outcome is not clear what's going to happen. But like there are best practices on things you should be doing at this stage.
Okay. Yep.
And so I think for me, it's a lot of like, lay it out on the table. Here's where I'm at with everything in the business. Am I completely off track, or am I doing the right things? And I think hearing from a lot of other founders who are, I would say nobody in that group is in the like near overnight success category. Like everyone has methodically built up their businesses over time, and they're all at different stages. And I think that is certainly helpful for someone in my perspective to just hear from people who are like, yeah, it's you wake up every morning and think about what your next strategy is and how you're going to execute on it. And these are really smart people who have tried a bunch of different things and kind of been through the paces. And so it's good to be surrounded by people who have that kind of perspective.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
And give you a realistic like yardstick kind of thing.
Yep. I mean, I realize like one of my challenges with Twitter, especially too, is like I'm surrounded by a lot of really successful people, and it can be easy for that to skew in your mind. Like, oh, this should be moving faster. I should be having way more traction evident right now. And it's like, that's actually not the usual case. And it's not doing my mind any good to be like, for those to be the dominant voices in my head, because then you just feel inadequate all the time, And then there's the reality. So like, I think being in some of these smaller groups where it's like, yep, this is what we've all gone through and we're all going through right now, and that's okay,
Totally. I remember when I was like working on my Rails course and launched it, and like was looking at my numbers, and like I had Adam Wathan's numbers in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, this is pretty terrible. And I was like, and I remember telling somebody else, they're like, holy crap, that's amazing. And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. This is pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. So ultimately came away from that feeling just in a much better place, and I knew what I needed to do, which was I had this payments feature in the hopper, ready to start promoting. And so I kind of hit the ground running on that.
Yeah. What's going on there? I'm curious. Man, you were so good at design. I can't believe it.
Oh, thank
the
you.
fact that you can do good engineering and then make a landing page that looks like that is that's a crazy combination of skills.
Well, thank you. And I'm hoping I can take advantage of that and reap the rewards of that unfair advantage. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind the last couple days. So got back, polished up some things, and then started by emailing the most activated StaticKit users. So people who have at least done one deployment and there's evidence that they've installed StaticKit on their website. And so there was, it was a hypothesis to test, let's see if these people are most likely to jump in and try out a new feature. And that group actually there wasn't a whole lot of response from that group. It was small. It's 100 and 150 people. And so that was fine. I was like, okay, next concentric circle, let's email more people from the list, and talked it through with some of my TinySeed batchmates. And the idea emerged to instead of just saying hey, this feature is ready to try out, here it is, it's live, put an element of opting in. So a little bit of scarcity and a little bit of deliberate, yes, I actually have a use case for this feature and here's what my use case is, I want to use it, in front of it. And I think that was a really good move. So I basically, instead of saying the feature's live now, it's the feature's in early access. And if you want access to it, you can give me drop in your email address and briefly describe your use case for it. And so that was a super good move. And so I put that up, kind of tweaked the landing page for the call to action be request access, with the StaticKit form on there where you can submit to request access, and emailed that to the entire registered user list. And then was planning to do a Twitter push maybe the next day after seeing what the response was from that. And sometimes you can't control when your Twitter promotion happens. So unprompted, Guillermo from Zeit posted a very excited tweet. He's kind of a Twitter master. I think he spends a lot of time just kind of hyping the stuff they're doing on Twitter. So it was a very well-crafted, excited tweet that started to make the rounds very quickly. And so I just kind of jumped on that and spent the day fielding Twitter responses and emails and everything that came from that.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So what was the result?
Yeah. So far about 20 people have deliberately requested access. And so I feel pretty good about that. I think, and everyone kind of has a, what could be a very near-term use for the feature. So I anticipate being able to convert at least a chunk of those. And
cool. Are you going to let them in?
Yeah.
You're going to make
I'm
them
going to
wait?
let them in.
Okay.
Nope. Letting them in. And so I kind of spent yesterday kind of following up with those people. And then some other conversations kind of got spurred on by this too. So talking with some folks from some strategic companies that were interested in what I was doing too. So there's some conversations going on there too. Yeah.
That sounds business devy.
Little biz devy for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So now it's just try to onboard these folks specifically onto the feature, get as much feedback as I can from them and answer questions and keep learning from that.
Awesome. That sounds promising.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to hear how that all goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you happy with how the feature turned out?
Yeah, I was pleased with that. I showed some restraint in not over engineering stuff. So there's some very simple primitives and I built out some example, a little example site where I kind of designed some payment forms that utilize the new stuff. Kind of have a little roadmap of things that I want to add into it, but I kind of resisted the temptation to try to build all that stuff because I'm I think this is good enough to present it to the world.
Right, and test the waters.
Yep.
Cool. Plus, I imagine as you start bringing on these people that are expressed interest, they will ask for things.
Yes.
And so you'll want it'll be nice to have the road clear to go build those things for them.
Exactly. Yeah. As soon as it started getting the kind of the response that it did get, I was at that moment very glad that it had an early access label on it and kind of had that gate in front of it because now I can just kind of probably the feedback from this group of people will be enough to kind of work through without having to deal with potentially even more people, poking around with it and stuff. So
yes, totally. And then as you like ship those new features to it, or those new changes, you can announce it. Kind of, you have a good excuse to get in touch with people again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, V2 is here or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I
Yeah.
like it. Nice, man. That sounds very good.
Yeah. So I will keep updating on how that's going.
You should. We should do it on a podcast so people can hear it.
I think that's a great idea.
Instead of just you and me talking where no one can hear us like we are right now.
Right.
Anyway, for no reason at all, do you want to talk about notes of the show?
Yes. Notes of the show, which will maybe someday exist, can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for not listening to us.
We won't see you next time.
Goodbye to no one, except for Derrick.
Goodbye.